Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am talking about my top 10 favorite books of all time. So I realized I've never done a video like this before where I literally just talked about my favorite books of all time. It doesn't matter the year when I read them or whatever, these are just like my favorite books that I've read as of today. Today's the 2nd of March. But I think I'm putting up the second week of March, so who knows if this list is going to change this year or next year or whatever, but I did want to make this video because I don't have a video like this on my channel yet, so I figured it was perfect. Sorry about that text. These are in no particular order, they are my top 10, and if you do follow me in Goodreads, you probably have seen these on my profile page because they're literally like the first, it's like my favorite shelf. And I have that on there. These are all the books. Anyways, let's get on to it. Again, these aren't in any particular order. They're just kind of how I'm grabbing them. These are my top 10, so they're pretty special. First one is Lover Awakened by J.R. Ward. This is the third book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I think it's the third one. I think so. This is definitely my favorite in the series. I loved this book. I love the characters, the romance. Zadist, is that how you say his name? Sadist? He is just a phenomenal character and his development is so great. And I also really loved Bella. She was such a strong, independent character. And I love the romance. I love the series. I would say honestly, like the first 8 books in this series are amazing. They're so good, and then the rest is just kind of like keeps going, you know, never ending. But this one is definitely my favorite. I loved it so much. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I've yet to reread it, but I really loved it. Then I have Change of Heart by Nicole Jacqueline. This I think I read, when did this come out? 2016. This was one of my favorite books of that year. I was so surprised by this book. It literally took me by surprise. I did not expect to love it this much, but it is one of my favorite books of all time. I just loved it so much. The characters were so interesting and different, and it was like a hate to love relationship or trope, whatever that is. And this one was so powerful and just, it was amazing. It's one of my favorite books. I'm going to say that for literally every one in this pile, but I loved it. The next one is On Dublin Street by Samantha Young. It's one of my favorite romance books of all time. I absolutely loved it. This was another book that literally took me by surprise. I had heard really good things about this series and this book particularly, but I was just kind of like, like I'll probably like it, but I loved it. So good. I highly recommend you check out this book, especially if you love romance books. This one was just top notch. Really loved it. I'm sorry I'm not really giving synopsis for these books. I just feel like I'm not good at giving synopsis. I don't like doing them. But I will link the shelf that I have for these books on my Goodreads, so you'll be able to just click them yourself. I'll link it down below. Next book is Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is the third book in the the Infernal Devices trilogy. And this was amazing. I absolutely love this book. I read it in one sitting. I remember I think it came out like around my birthday, and I remember it was a snowstorm that day, and my mom, she was going to the city to get groceries and run errands, and I asked her to pick this book for me because it literally came out that day. She went and grabbed it. It was a snowstorm. I read it that night. I was just like so amazed with this book. I love this trilogy, and I think I cried while reading this. I just absolutely loved it. I know a lot of people are kind of, you know, not really in love with Cassandra Clare. I think I love her books because it was one of the first series that I actually like really read and was really invested in, so I just keep reading her books. I don't know, it's just like very nostalgic for me. But this one was definitely my favorite out of all of her books so far. It was just so good. The conclusion was so amazing, and I loved it. I loved it. Then I have The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness. I've talked many times about A Discovery of Witches, and I love this trilogy. This one is my god, I can't talk. This one is by far my favorite in the trilogy. I do want to do a reread. I hope to do one before the TV show comes out of like the whole trilogy. I just absolutely love this book. It's also very, very, very big, and the font is like really tiny. And I think I read this in 2 sittings because I wanted to savor it. But again, such an amazing trilogy. I loved it. If you love romance, yet also paranormal and a lot of historical stuff, you'll probably love this trilogy. I do. It's so great. I highly recommend. The next one is Forever Too Far by Abby Glines. It's not a favorites video if I don't mention an Abby Glines book. I had a really hard time picking between Fallen Too Far, Never Too Far, and this one. I feel like they're all my favorite. Like, I equally like them all, but I'm mentioning the third one just because I feel like it's more, you get to see them more stable, I guess. But I love this one. If you love over-the-top, cheesy, dramatic romances, check out Abby Glines' books. She has all of that, all of the basic tropes and all that kind of stuff, which I love. So this is one of my favorites. I definitely love Rush and Blair. They're one of my favorite couples of all time. Definitely a favorite. Then I obviously have The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I've talked nonstop about this book. I just love it. It is so complex and interesting and different. To me, like, heavy literature fiction books just aren't really my thing. Sometimes they can be a little too heavy and dry and boring. But this is like the complete opposite of that. This is so rich in words and just characters, and like all of the characters are so different. And it's so weird. I feel like it's very college-y, which makes sense because the characters are in college, but it's very a literature college. It literally makes no sense. I love this book. I have nothing but good things to say about it. I understand why people don't like it. One of my favorite books, obviously. Such a good book. If you are not really into literary fiction, I definitely recommend this one. It's so different. You'll either love it or hate it. So then I have The Hitting Game by Sally Thorne. I love this book so much. I need to do a reread because I feel like I missed out on a lot of things because when I was into it, I read it so fast because I was just like devouring it. But I love this book. It's so cute. It's so warm and fuzzy, and I absolutely love it. Like, there was not an aspect of this book that I hated. I think my only like issue was with the end. I just didn't want it to end. I think that was my only problem, and I wanted a little bit more closure. But other than that, this was just a terrific book. If you're looking for a really cute chick-litty romance, I definitely recommend this one. It's just so great, so refreshing. I loved it. Another favorite one of mine is Love Game by Tracy Wolff. This is actually only an ebook, which makes me terribly sad. Tracy Wolff or Love Swept, if you're watching this video, can you please make physical copies of this book? Like, because I really want one. I really want a physical book. I want it in my hands. Sadly, Love Swept, the publishing company, are only ebooks. They don't make physical books. So I'm like forever crying about it because I loved this book. It was so sexy, mysterious, dark, interesting, different, thrilling, romancy. It was literally everything, and I absolutely loved it. I highly, highly recommend you check it out. The cover looks a little cheesy, but trust me, it's so different from what you think it is. I received an ARC of it a while back, and I think it was like 2 years ago. On the day it was literally coming out, I decided to read it, and I was up all night reading it. I was so obsessed. I couldn't stop thinking about it for days. It was just so good. I can't believe I put off reading it for like a while because I had an ARC of it. I don't know, but it was just terrific. I loved it. And my last favorite is, of course, Some Kind of Perfect by Kristen Becker Ritchie. This, again, is literally one of my favorite books of all time. It is literally so fat. Like, it's almost as big as, like, the Book of Life. Like, it's massive. And this I also read in one sitting. I think it took me, like, 8 hours to read, which is crazy. But this is basically the last book in the Addicted series. It has all of their POVs and all of the characters. It's basically a 10-year journey. So it follows the characters in the course of 10 years and them with all of their children and their children growing up and them still being a family and doing everything together. And this book is just honestly so heartwarming, and it made me cry, it made me laugh. I just always want to tear up when I talk about the Addicted series because it means so much to me and I love the characters. Their character development is such a huge, huge deal in this series. Like, they just grow and you see that. You see them develop as people and as characters. I absolutely love this book. I need to do a reread, but it's so big that I just feel like it's so intimidating to reread it. But I absolutely love this book. Anyway, so these are my top 10 favorite books of all time, including Love Game by Tracy Wolff. Sadly, don't have a physical copy of that one, but I love these books so, so, so much, and I highly recommend you check them out. I just absolutely love them, and they're my favorites, so please go check them out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what your top 10 favorite books of all time are. I know it's so hard to pick, but I'm sure you have a few that you're like, yeah, that's my favorite book. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!